All right, so again, would like to welcome everybody to this afternoon's training. We are going to do an overview of report bundles. So we're gearing this training kind of like a beginner level, little bit of intermediate. So if you would happen to have questions that go beyond the scope of what we're covering today for some specifics for your districts, obviously you are more than welcome to reach out to us at our help desk or give us a call and we will work through scenarios with you. Just a recap, we're going to use as kind of our outline or guideline today the document that was attached to the training email that we sent out. If you do not have that, just let us know through Help Desk and we'll get that to you. That document was called 4 Simple Steps to Creating a Customized Report Bundle. Let me bring that over for you. It should look a lot like this at the top of that. So that is the kind of step-by-step that we're going to go through today. Please note, disclaimer, it doesn't cover everything, right? Again, we are going to cover beginner level stuff. So if you have that handy, if you've printed that off, it might be a good tool for you to make notes on, or I'm hoping that this training for you will spark some ideas for your district and how you can better achieve some of the things that you may be doing manually right now. So that said, we are going to go ahead and get started. Again, we've showed you our fiscal services page. And so again, you can find our recordings out here for both trainings and roundtables. Let's start with USAS. Now, for my USPS people in the room, please note I have not forgot about you, and we will definitely get to some applied uses for you guys in USPS. I feel like, or I have felt like, since we've been doing the migrations to redesign and helped our districts along, that there's a lot of focus on USAS reports and report bundles, but not so much for USPS. And actually, there's a really great, or hopefully you find a great application today that we will be able to send some reports directly to your treasurer or your finance folks directly from your USPS application without you having to manually download them and email them. So hang tight with me, okay? So all of this will apply to you with the exception of the first thing that we are going to cover, and that's account filters in USAS, as we don't need or have account filters in USPS. All right, so when we're looking at that document, if you have not already, right, started doing or maintaining report bundles at your business for your operation, what's the use of them, right? Well, it's super great if outside of your regular standard SSDT reports that fire off when you close a period or when you post a payroll or those types of things, you can create custom reports and then you can schedule those. And there's 3 different schedule methods to go to an employee, multiple employees, or a directory, right? A folder. That folder type is something we will talk about, but we're not going to get into the specifics of that. That is definitely one. If you have the desire to do that when we talk about it, please let us know and we'll help you set that up. To my team, we do still have some people joining, so if somebody can keep an eye on that for me, I appreciate you very much. Okay, so what are things to keep in mind? Okay, what is the intent of these? Okay, well, things you could do is send a budget summary and a financial detail, right, on the USAS side of the house to your transportation coordinator, to your cafeteria supervisor, to your athletic director, to any of your activities advisors, right? As opposed to old school, me being one of the old schools, that I would run that report, print it off, and send it over to them via, interoffice mail or what have you. So those are just some highlights to what we're doing. If you've had bundles in the past that you've used and you're like, you know what, I don't even know if these people are looking at these anymore, you can definitely go in and do some cleanup on those. But be intentional. Kind of have a roadmap of what you want to do, especially from the USAS side as opposed to USPS. If you're keeping an external spreadsheet, I've got this report and this report created for this group. Here's who I have it sent to. And then from year to year, say you have an activity advisor change or you have change in staff because that never happens, right? For administrators or athletic directors or activity advisors. Then you have who you were sending it to and a checklist that you've updated it to who the new person may be. So, just some things to think about to set you up for success when we are doing this. All right, so in USAS, there is an area called account filters. So what we want to do again is set you up for success. What is the easiest way to create a report specific for my lunchroom, for example? That's one of the ones that we are going to do today, but please note it can apply to any one that you have that's doing a group or whatever, just looking at those account codes. So we're going to use account filters in correlation with save and recalls. And that's going to make our report bundling just so much more manageable for you. Something else I also want to note is if your district has not set these up yet, right? And you're looking for a good path forward, as opposed to, let's say, treasurer or assistant treasurer going in and creating all these wonderful reports with save and recalls and report bundles, I would ask you to consider creating a reports user. That way, that username and password could be from us shared with the treasurer. They then would share those permissions or that username and password with, again, the people who are going to be managing these reports, these save and recalls, and these bundles. When we began doing redesign, we had a lot of districts that were setting up all these wonderful report bundles, and then we had people either leaving the district or retiring, and then we needed to come up with a solution for that. If you're a district in that position right now and you'd like to maybe remove it from that person's hands as far as the username, let us know and we can work through those solutions with you as well. All right, so we're going to go into account filters. So I'm going to, if you have your chat box up as we go, but of course we can always provide them to you later if you wish. I'm going to provide you the links to the SSDT documentation as we go through some of these items. So the first thing I've included in the document is the account filters. This is going to tell you everything that we don't today on the training that you might want to know about an account filter. And we're going to look specifically when we get into it in regards to wildcards. But let's get back into USAS. And before I begin, does anyone have any questions before we start off? Great. Team, please keep me posted. I'll keep looking at the chat, but I don't want to miss anything that could be for the good of the cause for everyone. We're going to find account filters under utilities and under account filters. Again, I'm in USAS, but it's also good for USPS people to know that this is available in here in case you were wanting to see some payroll account filters or whatever that were set up for you specifically. And today we're going to focus on lunchroom. But again, please feel free to expand this in any way that you might want to do that. I have gone ahead and created, for the sake of time, one called lunchroom. So let's go into edit mode to see what that looks like when we're in here. Again, if you are creating an account filter, you would just simply click on the create option here from the grid, okay? And it's going to allow you to give a filter name, okay? And then down at the bottom, you're going to see this add filter. When you do this, once you have a name in there, it will allow you to enter the criteria. So in our lunchroom, we're going to make sure that our filter is active. If let's say you have someone that's managing a grant, right? And you want to create an account filter for that grant, for that individual, okay? You can indeed do that. But let's say you no longer have that grant, you no longer need to send that report, you can come in and make that account filter inactive, okay? Um, so just want to make sure that you are aware that you have that option to change an account filter. In our filter, we have added some expenditure accounts. So your transaction indicator, your TI is required. So O2 is expenditures, O3 is revenue. Our fund is 006. And I want to bring attention to our very first row. Let's say you want to send lunchroom their expenditures and revenue. However, you want to exclude salary and benefit accounts. Okay, there is a way to come into your filter and you can put anywhere from a 100 object and then there's a dot dot in there to a 299. Sorry, you can't see that. Let me see if we can. There we go, to 299. And then in order to exclude accounts from a report, you leave your access blank. Okay, you are not going to choose any access level. The other key to this is you want to make sure that any accounts that you are excluding are on your very top line, your very first thing that you go in and see. And then from there, we've gone in and said, you know what, all other accounts, we definitely want them to see any revenue and expenditure outside of those accounts. We're then going to give access as R. So R is read only, and I always also think of R as report, right? If we're creating it for just a report purpose. Now, if we were creating a filter for a user, right? Because there's another way that you can use this in USAS is, let's say you have a high school secretary, right? You could then come in, create a filter for high school secretary. We would recommend you not name filters to specific employees in case you would happen to have a change of who would be in that position. Now, if you do, it's no harm, no foul. If they leave, you can always clone that to a new one and create a new user, or excuse me, a new filter name for that. So again, if you've already started that process, please know it's not a bad thing that you're doing. But if, say, your high school secretary would leave and you want to create that, you could always just name that high school secretary as opposed to Jane Doe. All right, let me admit a couple more people in here. All right. And then again, we only need to give access for read or read only or report here for our reports. But if you are adding filters for a user, you would also click on P for pre-encumbrance. Okay. Pre-encumbrance is requisition. So again, multiple uses for account filters. But today, again, we're focusing more on the report Vantage for that. I want to show you another filter, couple filters that are in here. We have one in here for athletics. Do the view option on this one. So for this one, they've kept it very simple. But this athletics, they're using it for all. Create, update, delete, pre-encumbrance, and encumbrance, but notice R is not in there for reports. So this would be for a user. If we then go down and look at, I think I have one called high school athletics. Let's look at this one. This one would be more one that we are using for an athletic director. Okay. Notice that we have cash accounts over here, which is fine because if you're running any reports that are necessary for the others, it will pull an expenditure or revenue account. We have our 300 fund. And then we have some filters going in here. We're using wildcards and ranges. So you'll notice that our first four rows, they don't have any access. So we are excluding all salary and benefits, any services, right, that are coded with those. But we do want to see these with an OPU, okay, because they have read only or report access. Okay. any questions on, oh, I wanted to show you one more thing on account filter. Let's see. I think I had one called FY. Here it is. Okay. I want to show you this one. So from year to year, you get grants, right? And so every year, those special cost centers would change. So just so you know, especially when doing reports, right? And if you're doing these and you're separating out just your grants, you can, I mentioned the clone feature earlier, you can use the clone feature, but I also set this up to show you, let's say you're doing one for all grants, okay? So I have my 504 in here, my 516, 532, and 536. I didn't add revenue in here. You can definitely add revenue in here, but I was just keeping it simple because I wanted to show you this feature. As opposed to coming over here and clicking R on all of these levels, you can do this option. I can choose just one, I could choose multiple, or I can select all. By selecting all, or one or two, then if I go over to apply access, a window is going to pop up and say, hey, where do you want to mass apply these accesses to? So again, I've chosen the rows I want. I'm going to choose R. I'm going to click OK, and it's updated all of those for me. So you don't have to manually go to each one if you don't want to. There's a way to mass add all of those once you get all of your accounts in and then save that. I'm going to save this so that I can show you what the clone feature looks like. Okay, so again, just like most things, in order to see some action buttons, we go into the view icon. So let me filter up here. If I go into the view icon, I'm able to clone. And let's say I wanted to do this FY27 grants. It's saving all of my information, but then all I have to do is come in here, change the special cost center from year to year, and if I have this report or if I have this filter tied to any reports, the old filter, like the XX, it would pull in my changes that way, or I can give it a specific one and then I would have to go change the account filter. So again, you have two ways of doing things, okay? You can either save it as FYXX or FY grants or whatever you want and just change the special cost center year to year, or you can create a special filter for grants each year. So again, just some things to consider. Do we have any questions on account filters before we go any further? Oh, okay. We're gonna admit somebody in here. Okay. The next thing that we're going to go to is for our example today, we're going to show you a save and recall on a financial detail report. So if you are not aware, we're going to go reports. You have two options for some reports. Again, at the beginning of redesign, we had all of the SSDT templates. Many of our options were there, but there were some very specific options that DistWorks were using from classic reports that were not available or as easy to access in redesign. With time, also there were performance issues. So with time, SSDT has continued to keep those template reports out there because they were being used for some districts, but they've also then created these what's called canned reports. So under the report tab, you'll notice we can access the report manager, which is going to give us all of our SSDT reports. But then, and any custom ones that we've created, right? But then under the report tab, under this bar here, is all of our canned SSDT reports. A lot of these reports have better performance, more options, better capabilities overall. So for today's example, we're going to use the financial detail report. Okay, so when we get into our report, in order to, we have to set up all of these things first, right? Customize our reports, get them the way we want them before we add them to our report bundle, okay? So when we come into any report, and if it gives you the option of save and recall, our recommendation is always choose default first. By choosing default, you'll notice that it clears its throat, right? It takes out all of the old settings. We as support and districts have found sometimes if you leave most recent in there, if I would go pull up most recent again, because see, I have dates. If maybe I would have had an object code in here, and then I come in and say, oh, I'm just going to change the object code, wipe it out and add a new one. We have seen some false positive reports. It may not be exactly what you want. It may be blank just because it may still be looking at some of those most recent settings. So we suggest that you come in and change that to default. Okay, so again, we're going to use our lunchroom filter today, and we're going to create a save and recall for that. The purpose of that save and recall is when we get into doing our report bundle here shortly, we can not only just select that report, but then we can drill down even further and say, I want that specific save and recall that has all of my favorite settings in it. Okay, so I have default. Now I have created a lunchroom one for sake of time. I'm going to pull that in. All right. So what I have done is I have added for my year a start date and a stop date. Okay, so I'm going to pull in for the whole year. I am not going to worry about display running fund balance. This is actually a certain criteria. If you hover over many of the items that are in the applications, it will let you know what the criteria is that that button is allowable. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down to the bottom here and I'm going to add that lunchroom filter. Okay, so if you can see that here at the bottom, and if anybody can't see it, holler at me. We'll blow up the screen a little bit here. We've added our filter, okay, from the list. And we always want to make sure that we're doing show options, especially when running a PDF report. Why is that helpful? Well, let's say you're sending something to your cafeteria supervisor and he says, hey, can you tell me what's up with this report? That way, when they share it with you or if you share it with us as support, that show options page is huge for us to know exactly how you ran that report. So it gives you a little bit of history on what the what was, right, when you ran that, right? So once we have our settings in here, and again, we don't need to add any account information. Why? Because we're using that account filter, that bucket that we created, so we don't have to enter all these. Another great thing about account filters is that we can add multiple accounts and multiple variables to that, whereas we don't have that functionality here, right? To add multiples or ranges. Quick tip before we go on to the save and recall. If you have not used this total as of period before, I just want to touch on that for you. Now, we are in a demo account and it says that my open period is September of 25, but we've not put some stuff in there for a hot minute. So let's say you wanted totals, let's say it's October, and you want totals for end of August, right? And you wanted to come in and run a quick report. You could actually use this drop down, pull in the August, and it's going to give you a financial detail looking at as if August was your current period. Okay, so if you've not used that total as of field before, I want you to know that helps control what your totals are for that report. I digress. All right, so once we have all of our information in here, we're going to go up and we're going to choose the blank field, okay? And then you can type in what you want your save and recall to be. Again, I had typed in FY26. Every time you make a change or you're creating this, you want to click on the save icon. Any questions with creating a save and recall using an account filter?
Heidi, does this start with the beginning cash balance and show an ending cash balance?
So that would be, so that's where I was hovering over this. Um, so if you use the first date in the current period or the last date of the current fiscal year, so let's see, let me hover over that again. First date of the current period. So if I were to change this to, and again, that's this specific report, Claudia, I appreciate where you're coming from on this. If we do this, see what I'm saying? That will then give you that balance that you were just asking about. Like the July, are you talking the July 1st, the SSDT financial detail that has a July 1st?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is supposedly to do that. I would have to test this out again. I didn't test it when I was doing this for report bundle training. But the SSDT July 1, let me duplicate this for you. And you can do so to your own. Helps if I do a wild card. There it is. Claudia, if you want, you can use this report. If this is something that you're used to using, you can do your save and recall here. So let's try that. So this is a great question. I know where she's going with what totals you are, but if you're using an SSDT template to create as a save and recall, let's show you that. So we're going to do the show report option using our SSDT financial detail report with the July 1 cash balance. Okay. We're going to go to query options. And remember, we added a filter. Okay. We're going to pull in that filter here. We have to be, when we do add our filters in here, I will be letting you know that it is case sensitive. You don't have that drop down option that you do in a canned report. So it is case sensitive. So once you add that in there, okay, then you can come up and we're going to name this lunchroom. I'm going to put CZ after it because Claudia asked the question. Just so I know when I go pulling up later. So we're going to then click on our save and recall. So when we generate this, and Claudia, I don't have any, I think I have one thing in FY26 for this. So let me look at this report for you. Let's see where it went.
It worked.
Yeah. Whoops. I was going to pull it over for you. Sorry. There you go. Yep. So it has your, um, it's pulling from your July 1st balance. But again, my account is the demo account. But if it worked for you, then yeah. So you can do SSDT template accounts for save and recalls. So if you already have those set up or you want to work with some of the ones that you're already used to using, totally do everything I'm using from a canned report, you can use the SSDT templates from. Does that help, Miss Claudia?
Yes. My next question is going to be, can you schedule those to automatically run at the end of the month when you close?
We're getting there. You're on
Okay,
step 4
sorry.
for me. Yeah, or actually you're in next step 3. So we're getting there. So yes, thank you. So I'm glad you are excited to see this. Like, oh, okay, this would be great. So yes, we can absolutely do that. All right. So any other questions? Claudia had a great question. Let me admit a couple more people to our meeting here. Thank you, Claudia, for asking. Any other questions on creating a save and recall using an account filter? And if you want to use an account filter, you don't have to. You can obviously come in and do your own filtering here and still we can do it as a report bundle.
Heidi,
Yes.
could you make one of us co-host, please?
Sure. I see Elisa, so Elisa
Okay,
did it.
that way we can handle the other piece for you.
Yeah, thank you. Yep, Elisa, I just tagged you, bud. Thank you. All right. So that was step 2. Okay, so that was step 2, save and recalls. So step 2, remember I talked about how USAS and USPS can do save and recalls. If I'm going to pop over into USPS, so we're gonna get to our payroll peeps here. So I'm going to go to reports and I'm going to go down to, I don't know that we want to do that one. Let's see. I don't think this one has, yeah, it does. Okay, so I'm going to use job calendar as our example for save and recalls. So again, for payroll folks, always choose default. If you have that option, always choose default. Let's say you want to run at the beginning of the year for all of your calendars. You want to run a report and you want to send it to yourself as immediate, okay, because it could take some time to generate that. Your beginning date would be 07/01, 2025, ending 06/30, 2020, oops, 6. Okay, we're not going to worry about that. We're keeping his portrait. We'll keep those options. We're not going to select any, right? And then up here, what we're going to do, so we're going to choose the blank and we're going to do FY, or you can do 2025, 2026 calendars. Okay. We're going to tab off and we're going to save that. Okay. So that is an example of how you can do a save and recall. This is super helpful. I don't know that they've gotten it to this yet. No, just a heads up, this is an enhancement request, which will be awesome. Like employer distributions, that you can do a save and recall. It may not make sense to do it by pay date, but you could do a save and recall for your per pay employer distributions and your monthly, right? Those that you're flagging to use employer distribution accounts and not flagging. So you could create save and recalls that way so you don't ever miss that moving forward. So that is a save and recall coming up. Okay, so just so everybody knows that both sides of the house have save and recalls. All right, we're going to move on to step 3. Any other questions where we are at so far? I know that again that this probably feels very simplistic to some of you, but again, we're trying to get people encouraged to use the system to help with their maintenance of some things to ease up their flow of what they're doing, maybe manually at their district. All right, so let's get into creating our report bundle. So we're going to go to report and report bundles. All right. And this area, I want to go over what this grid is about first before we get into creating our report bundle. In this grid, you're going to notice that there is a clock icon. This is how, when we get ready to schedule that, our view so we can see what reports are in our report bundles. This is going to be downloading the definitions of that bundle. Again, how we go in and edit, maybe when you change grant years, right? You're going in and editing it and you're taking out one filter and adding another. We'll show you that option. Let's say you no longer use a report bundle. You can delete it. Or let's say you got it started and you're like, this is not what I wanted. Not even beginning what I wanted. You can go in and get rid of that. And then this is where you're going to enable and disable. Okay, so this is that function. If we've ever helped you as fiscal support to disable your SSDT bundles because maybe you needed to reopen a month and close it for some reason, that's where these options are at. Okay, and then we have our report name. We can give a description to our report bundle. We can add a tag to it if it's helpful. Maybe you have ones for month end. So you put MOE, end of the month. And then, of course, whoever created, what username created that report bundle. So let's go into the lunchroom one just to view it for now. And then I'm going to show you how to create. So in our lunchroom one, we have given it a report bundle name. I do need to let you know that report bundle names should be different from each other. And the reason I state that is if you're scheduling a report bundle, the job scheduler will not process the same bundle name twice. So say we did two different lunchroom ones, but say you wanted different reports in those, I would name your report bundles lunchroom 1, lunchroom 2. Because if we have two just named lunchroom, it will not push those out. Okay. Then you have the option to do a description. And then you have the option to do tags as I discussed. Okay. So I'm going to take this out of here real quick. I'm going to show you how to add. If you remember, we did that canned financial detail, right? And I had a save and recall to it. So again, we are on step 3 if you are following along. So in here, I can either use the drop down or I can just start typing. So I'm going to start typing in financial detail. Okay, and that's one Carol did because it tells me that she created a specific one. But I am looking for this one right here. I know that there are two listed there. One is the template and one is the canned one. Canned ones I find populate first. So that's just a little tip until they get a better way of letting you know which one's the canned one and which one's the template one. So I'm going to choose the financial detail that comes up first because it was the canned one. And I know I've chosen the right one because actually I chose the template one. My apologies. Look here, there's my Claudia's. Okay, so I've got her in here that I could schedule. So let me type this in here again. Oops. So in this one, mine actually came up second, excuse me. And there's mine. And the reason I know this is the canned one now is because my filters were in here from the canned one. Okay. So once we have found the main report that we were working from, right? So we have to tell the system, I want this report first. Okay. And then from there, once we locate that report, then we choose which one of the save and recalls. So let's say you have financial details out there and you've created 20 save and recalls. They are all going to be listed here. So then you can come in and you can filter to find the save and recall that you want. And then once you do, you're going to click on the plus and that's going to add it to the bundle. Okay. So this is showing what report you selected. This is the specific criteria that is going to run when we run that report bundle.
Can I
Okay.
ask a question?
Of course.
So right here, if I did multiple of those bundles, can I add each of them if I want them all to run at month end?
Of course. Yes. Yep. And we're going to show you scheduling here in just a moment. So let's say, let's say you're running for all of your activities, right?
Yeah.
Those are going to go to different people, correct? So what I would suggest is say you have senior class, junior class, sophomore class, freshman class, okay? Let me cancel this for a second and show you that example. Okay, I would name it probably not senior class. You're going to do class of, right, because it's going to be an account code and those are going to change every year, 2026, right? I would then, again, let's say we were doing a financial detail. I think it was the second one. Okay. And I'm going to, Claudia, let's pretend this is your class of 2026, even though it's named lunchroom, right?
Okay.
You create that save and recall. Okay. It's going to be called class of 26. You add that down here and let's say you even throw in a budget summary for theirs, right? You give them 2 reports. Once you save this, then the next step, which is step 4, is going to be scheduling that to go to them. So yes, if you want, when you create a bundle, to think about who the intended audience is for it. Does that make sense? So you're going to have a report bundle going out for each activity. Now, I would still keep that. Let's say you have one person that's doing 3 activities. I would still keep those in 3 different bundles. And the reason I say that is what if they drop doing one of those supplementals one year and somebody else picks it up, right? So I would definitely think like 2 years, 3 years, 5 years down the road and how to do that. We do have some districts that are set up to send these to their board members whenever they close the month. You could do that. Again, the lunchroom one that I was working on, what we're going to be doing for this one is um, showing you how when you close the month. But you can also schedule, which again, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but there's 3 options. You can send it immediate, you can send it when you close the month, or you can set up what's called a cron expression, cron job, which means you could send them every Sunday evening if you wanted to. So they're in their inbox on Monday morning. Does that help?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So for our example, lunchroom, I pulled in my FY26 lunchroom. I have the option, oops, I need to be in edit mode. I can go in and edit this report. So see, I have all of my options still for this report. So like, say it's next school year, right? Okay, so when it starts next school year, I'm going to come in and edit this, change that to 7/1 of 26, change that to 27. I don't have to change anything with my filter, and then I'm going to save it, and it's going to pull those reports for next year. Let's talk about changes to an account filter. Let's say for lunchroom, I needed to add a new account or I changed something with all the changes that are going on, right, with AOS and that. As long as the filter name is in here, it flows through. The changes flow through. So if I would make changes to my lunchroom account filter and then I go run this report, it will pick up my changes because it's looking at the filter name. Okay, so that is also a super great feature. Okay, so I would save this then. For now, I'm not going to. I'm going to cancel because I want to keep my year in there. Okay, or I can delete this out. Let's say this report you created for them is no longer needed. They're like, I don't know what it means. I don't need this. You could come in and remove it if you wanted to. Okay, so again, even if you have your bundle created and your reports in there, you can still go and update this. Okay, we talked about that account filter for grants. Say you want to create account filters for your fiscal year. In that case, you would come out here then once a year when you have your filters set up and changed, come in and you would go right into the bundle. You don't have to create a whole new bundle. You're just going to go into that report and change that account filter name from FY26 to FY27. Okay. Yes, and Jen makes a good point. I'm using dates in there, but there are the shortcuts. If you want for the period, you would use start as a P, end as a D. Fiscal year, you could use F, it's beginning of fiscal, and L for June 30th. So yes, Jen, thank you for that tip on that. Okay, so we're going to save that. Any questions on creating a report bundle? Again, another report. Here's one in this bundle. I forgotten I had done this. Outstanding purchase orders. You could filter that. You could create that report and send to your activity as advisors as well. Any questions on setting up report bundles before we go into scheduling? Okay. All right, we're going to go on to step 4. Okay. Oh, you know what? I have one. I'm so sorry for USPS. Not to forget them. Here we go. Sorry about that, guys. All right, for treasurers in the house, even though we're talking about payroll, this might be one you're interested in. Again, this is one report or 2 reports actually that we're going to put in one bundle. Okay, that could be very important. You can send it to your treasurer if you're a bigger district and you have an accounts payable department or a finance person. This is something that you could send along to them. And what we're going to do is, first thing I'm going to take you to is payroll. payroll processing, okay? I know I'm in a test account, but again, any one of your payrolls, I'm going to go into this one. There are two reports. One of them is called the budget distribution report, and one of them is called the pay account distribution report, okay? Once you have posted the accounts that are showing on these reports are the exact same accounts that are being expended when you send your payroll submission file to USAS, right? So the supporting documentation to that payroll submission file that you're sending over to USAS, the one that says your gross payroll is $250,000 or what have you, all those accounts that are being charged off are listed in these two reports. So even though your finance department, even though USAS is getting those, what is the supporting documentation for that? Well, this is my favorite. I've always said it of the two reports. This is my favorite one. We're just going to look at it real quick. In the fact of it not only shows, and this is super helpful at the beginning of a school year, right? Especially when you got people being paid out of grant monies. This is super helpful. Pull this report over for you guys. Because it not only shows the account code, but it also shows the employee that's tied to that account code. So if you need to make any changes, someone in the finance department can highlight this and send it back to you and say, hey, Benjamin O'Connor here, he doesn't need to be paid out of this one this year. He needs to be paid out of grant money, something along that lines. Okay. So these are the reports that I'm going to use in showing you how to set up a report bundle in USPS that is intentional and useful. Okay, so keep it in mind, we're going to look at those two reports. For you all in USPS, we're going to go to reports, report bundles. Okay, and I've created one. I want to show you what that looks like. Okay, when I clicked on create, the only difference between what you're looking at here and clicking on create is blank spaces. So I'm just saving you the whole create button, right? So when we click on create, I added my report name, so it is intentional, posted payroll budget and payroll account distribution reports, okay? The description itself says pay accounts to be expended on the payroll submission to USAS. And then I gave it a tag of payroll. Okay, so I saved this fun stuff for when you guys were on the call. So let's go look at that report name. So it was called a budget distribution. And when I type in budget, there it is. Okay. Now the only difference between USAS and USPS there is we did not have a save and recall on these. Okay, because they're generated from posted payroll. So that's the difference. Okay. So all we're going to do is, we're going to pick our next report. So we're going to do, whoops. So we're going to do payroll account. So here's our payroll account distribution detail. Okay. And we're going to add that. Oops, my other one went bye-bye as soon as I got rid of it. Sorry about that. Let's do this. Blank space. There we go. That's me, not the system. It's user error. It's between my keyboard and the computer, or between my hands and the computer. So we're going to add that. So again, once we choose the report, we add it to this area. And then to get it in the bundle, we're going to hit that plus to make it drop down here. Okay. Then when we schedule this, like we're going to do the USAS ones, we're going to schedule it either on an event, a chronic expression, or immediate. So we're going to come back to this. So just hold on this. Missy Howlett, is there a way to add that report? Yes, Missy, let me do it right now. So great question from Missy. So remember how I told you you could go in and edit these reports? Watch this. So we're going to go into the payroll account distribution. Remember, we're going to click on the edit. We're going to click on continue. And it should allow us the format. Ah, is it not going to allow us the format in this? Well, let me see if I can do it. Oh, shoot. In payroll, it does not. In payroll, it does not. In USAS, hang tight with me for just a moment. I think if I go to, yeah, here it lets me change, and it must be because it is coming from the posted payroll area that is PDF. You know what, Missy, I'm going to have to ask that question because I think it was another SSDT, or excuse me, USPS report that had a save and recall on it that had the format options, whereas the format options are in payroll. So if you want the CSV from what I'm seeing right now, you'd have to get it from the payroll process. But let me ask SSDT if there is a way to do it that's outside of what I know. Team, are you aware of a way to choose CSV off of these two payroll posted reports? Yeah. Okay. Missy, that's a great question. I've got that noted for these, but right now it's going to come in PDF format. Okay, thank you for asking. Oh, you're most welcome. Thank you for asking the question. I appreciate when people are not shy. Thank you. All right, so we're going to save that. Okay, and we're going to come back to that USPS side. Okay, so scheduling. So if Claudia is still here and I know everybody else is, this is the fun part of getting to this part, right? So to schedule, there are again 3 options to schedule: by event. Okay, an event would be like closing of a posting period. Okay, which I'm going to show you that in a cron expression today, and immediate actually. And then by a cron job. So I want you to know that there are, when we get to the cron, there are 2 free websites that you can go to create a cron expression. And they're very simple to use, and you would just copy and paste that in. Okay, but this is the report bundles page. I am going to send you this in our chat box. That's the direct link to the USAS report bundles. And I want to get down, pardon for the scrolling. I was looking for where there. Thought it was here, sorry. Nope, just job scheduler. There we go. There's what I was looking for. All right, so let's get into USAS. So I'm going to use my lunchroom as an example. So we're going to go through each one of these options. When you go to schedule, you're going to click on the clock icon. Okay, I'm going to start at the bottom with immediate because it's the simplest one. When creating your report bundles, we recommend test it out first, right? Kick the tires and make sure it's everything that you want before you buy into it, okay? So you've got your report set up, you got your account filters, your save and recalls, your bundle all set up. Here's my job name. This send output to, that is the email addresses that you want to send this to. If you remember at the earlier of our training, we spoke about where you can actually send it to a directory, which is like a folder. That is something, again, please email us if you're interested in that. It's something that your district would have to set up as a directory because it requires a password to send items into. So again, that's set up on the district end. However, if you're just sending it to users there at the district's employees there at the district, you're going to put in their email address here. if you have multiple people that you are emailing this report bundle to or scheduling this to, it needs to only be separated by a comma, no spaces between the email addresses. Okay. So I'm going to test. I don't know that it will send to me, but we're going to try this. Okay. So I've scheduled it as immediate, which means it's going to fire off immediately. Well, within reason. We all have email account filters. Okay. I'm putting in my email address, and then I'm sending a notification in a certain way. So this archive type by default will pull in as send a single notification with multiple attachments. So that means they're going to get one email with one report, two report, 10 reports. All depends on what you've put in that report bundle. Okay. The top one is they're going to get an email for every report bundle or every report you're sending them. Okay. Or if you have very large files, you might want to send one email with a zipped file. So in other words, if you're sending somebody 10 reports that are in this one bundle, you might want to zip those because it might be, or it will deliver easier. Okay. So we're going to stick with the default archive type to send one email with multiple attachments. And I'm going to save that. Now, when I save that, we're going to come back here, but when I save that, I can then see that job that I scheduled under utilities and the job scheduler. Again, we are on step 4. Okay. We're on step 4 on that list. Okay. Now, mine are always going to say rejected. Try not to take that personally because I'm in a demo account. It's not set up to send these. All right. But you're going to see that report name here. You're going to see who set it up, and it's going to show next run and the last time it ran. Okay. Something between cron, event, and immediate. I apologize. I received a call. Did she go over the difference? Nope, Taylor, going over it now. So the 3 different types of scheduling, the one that I am going over right now is immediate. So basically I went in and I set it up to send to myself. So that is called immediate. So this is the first one that we're touching base on. And then I would go out to the job scheduler, see it was there, and if within a couple minutes, check my inbox and I should see those reports. The reason we recommend that you do that the first time setting up report bundles is so that you can make sure that you're getting reports with data on it, right? The last thing you want is to have to go redo 50 that you've set up. So it's always good to test the waters on those. All right, the next one that we're going to talk about is the event. Okay, so you'll notice as I choose these radio buttons up here, my options down below change. When I was on immediate, the events box drops away because it's not an event. I'm just sending it directly to myself. When I click on event, the events drops down come in. When I click on cron, a cron expression box comes in. But again, we're going to talk about event next. Okay. I'm going to digress over to our document that I sent you just recently there in the chat. And this is how to schedule. It gives examples of each one of these, how to schedule an event, and it lists the events that you can use. Okay. So it is down the page here in just a little bit. So when we are in here, I have found it best when you come into events, even though you have a drop down, if you start typing in complete, let's say you want them to run when you close a posting period. Okay, you close the month. If I type in complete, it drills down to this list, and I would want this option right here. Okay, hold please, right here. It is called, let me blow this, see if I can blow this up a little bit for everybody. It's this last one. It's called posting period dot posting period close completed. Okay, so you would choose this option. If you want this report to fire off when you close the month of October, when you close November, all of those, okay? Again, your send output file too. This is going to be your email addresses for your intended audience of this report bundle. And then again, choosing an archive type, okay? And then you would save it. Then when you go into the job scheduler, you're going to see that next run. And it's going to show blank because it's waiting on the event. Okay. It's going to wait for you to do that. Okay. Any questions on events? Claudia, I know you specifically were asking about events. Does that help you for end of the month? Good deal. Thank you for having your camera on. I appreciate that. I can see you and I appreciate that. All right. So cron expression is the next one that we're going to go over. Okay. So I'm going to go back to our report bundles link that I sent you all, and I am going to do a find for cron. Maybe. Oops. There we go. Underneath cron type, if we go down on this page, you'll see there are two free, they're free to use, cron expression generators. Okay. I'm going to use the first one for today's example. Okay, so it pops up with my website. Okay. And I show everyone an example on step 4. I think we scheduled this on Sundays to do it weekly. I mentioned you can do by event. You could do it every Sunday night, every Friday night, whatever. When scheduling jobs specifically, hours to steer clear of because there are backups being done, updates to the system that we do. A safe time Monday through Friday would be anywhere from 4 to 8 p.m. Sharon, I'm going to lean in on you. Correct me if I get that wrong, but Monday through Friday, 4 to 8 is a safe time to schedule these. If it's the weekend, it's any time. But typically starting at 9 o'clock until like 3 or 4 in the morning, there are updates going on, there are restarts going on. So steer clear of those types of hours. Sharon, does that sound? Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that confirmation. Okay. So, yep, again, if you're scheduling it Monday through Friday, stick to the 4 to 8 window anytime over the weekend. Okay. So in order to come in and schedule this, I don't know where that thing came from. That is a large window down here. I don't know what that's about. But we went and we did like weekly, you could do monthly, you could choose the month, you could choose the year, like we could work backwards. We could do, okay, I want 2025. You know, you could do the month if you wanted to just send it one time, maybe. Or you could leave the year blank, do any year, not choose that, not choose a specific one. And then go to day. Actually, do we want day of the week? If we would do specific day of the week, let's do this one. And we wouldn't choose the first necessarily. We would just choose every Sunday evening. Okay. And then if we come down, you'll notice as we go along, let's say, see how it says every Sunday evening, basically. If I would change that, I'm going to change it up here. You can watch this down here. If I change it to Monday, it's going to change it. I want it Sunday and Monday, right? Or if I could do 3 days a week, or maybe I want Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Okay. So it's going to change that cron expression. Once you get your cron expression in there, you're going to copy. You're going to highlight it. I do Control C. You're going to bring that back into your job bundle, and you're going to paste that in there, making sure that there are no spaces at the beginning or at the end. Then again, you're going to add your email addresses, and you're going to, again, confirm your archive type and save that. Are there any questions on the 3 types so far? Okay, last but not least, let's say you have a job scheduled and you've had somebody leave, right? How do you edit those, right? How do you go and edit it without creating the whole report bundle over again, doing a new schedule? Because remember, if you come out and do a whole new schedule for it, remember it's got the same name. So it's not going to run two same report bundles names at the same time. So the best way to edit, and I believe we have that at the bottom of our sheet, maybe. Do we not have that in there? Nope, I have it on my notes to review today with you, is to go into Job Scheduler. Oh, no, I do. Yep, it's the bottom of step 4. We go into Job Scheduler, and we're going to go into the edit mode. And in edit mode, I can see who I've got these scheduled to. Okay. So let's say, thank you, Claudia, for joining us today. Appreciate you. So let's say Heidi leaves doing lunchroom and it changes to John Doe. I could then come into this already scheduled job, just take out the old email address and add in the new one of the new person, making sure there's no spaces and just commas separating the two emails. And then I'll save that. And then that's it. That's all you have to do for that. Okay. Are there any questions, comments, concerns? I tried not to go too fast, but I tried to cover a lot. Oh, let's do payroll. Let's come back to payroll. So we have our payroll budget here, right? So we've created this bundle. We're like, okay, how or what is the best time to schedule these? Well, this could be an event, okay? So again, we did the USAS side in scheduling, so we don't want to forget about our payroll people. So our budget and pay account distribution, we're going to go into our schedule icon. And we're going to do event, okay? And for you, USPS peeps, I'm going to send you a link as well, because it's going to give you some options on events. And we're going to focus on this one right here. Okay. Payroll post completed event. Okay. So when we go into our bundle, if I type in completed, okay, because that's one of the words in the event, so I can drill down, right? Here's what I'm looking for. Payroll post completed event. Okay. If I select that, you're going to put in your treasurer's name. This is not your treasurer. And then click save. The next time you post payroll, it will shoot or fire off those two reports to your treasurer. Okay. First time you do this, you might also want to check your junk or your spam box because it may be coming, it may look like bulk mail coming to you. So if you don't see it right away, check those folders. But these are two great intentional reports that you can send off to your AP team. Another report thought of is if you go to your employees grid and you filter to your employees and you pull in just their primary email address, maybe you send that to your IT department once a month. That way they can keep up, especially if you're using multi-factor authentication. Might be something good that your IT department might want to see. Okay. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
All right, I lied. I didn't jump off because I got nervous. Um, do I have to move the report bundle to the scheduler after it'll automatically go?
Yes, ma'am. Great question. So once you click on, let's see, okay, let me go back to my report bundle here. Right. So we have our report bundles listed here, right? Once you are in the schedule and you have scheduled it and you click save, this save right here is what puts it in Utilities Job Scheduler for you. Does that make sense? Did I lose you guys?
it's where you said it puts it in job
Yep.
scheduler.
Yep. So from the report bundles, when you're in the schedule report bundle, right? When you're in the clock and you've
Yeah.
set all of this up and then you click save, when you click save, that puts that in Utilities Job Scheduler. Now, the only one that you may not see in the job scheduler is those that are doing by event. Cron Expression and Immediate you'll see, but the event hasn't happened yet. So once you close your month, then like if you're using that event, then Claudia, if you go look in Utilities Job Scheduler, you'll be able to see it there then.
Okay, that's what that's why I can't see it. Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Oh, yes. No, I'm so glad you asked that question. Yes, absolutely.
Now I'm jumping off.
Okay. All right.
Thanks.
Thank you. Yes. Missy has asked, would it not be in there scheduled for after the, right, Missy, right. So great question. And it goes along with what Claudia was just asking. If you use an event and that event hasn't occurred yet, that's the only time you're not going to see it in the job scheduler ahead of time. The event must occur before you can see it in there. But oh, she just said, okay, just answered. Thank you. I think my chat's a little slow because it's slow coming up. Thank you. Yes, you're most welcome. Great questions. Anyone else?
Heidi, I have a quick question.
Of
On the
course.
Cron Expression generator, if I'm wanting it on the last day of every month,
Mhm.
am I choosing every month? Am I choosing every month between
Yeah,
January
let's go.
and December?
Yeah,
What's the best
let's
option?
look at that. Of course. Yeah, let's look at that. Let's try Cron Maker. It's a different one. Okay, so you said monthly, right? So
Yes,
between
that's correct.
I'll tell you, we do have favorites between those two Cron Expression ones. One's much easier to use than the other one. And especially looking at what you're looking to use it for. So for yours, if you're wanting it to do monthly, you could do, let's see here. Fourth Monday. Let's see, can we do last day? We might have to play with it to get your last day of every month. Day one of every one. First Monday. We don't want day of the week. All right, well, let's go use the other one. Maybe the other one will be good for that. Let's see. Month. Well, we definitely want every month, but then last day. Oh, see, it's going to make you pick, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah, we might have to work on that with you.
And I didn't know, like it says every month between January and December, but I don't know if that's like necessarily going to be.
Heidi, before you leave this page,
Yeah.
right below the specific day of month selection, there's an on last day of month option.
Oh, look at you. Thank you, Carol.
You're the best.
She is the best. I'm telling you what, multiple eyes, don't ever be ashamed of it. Multiple eyes help so much. Carol, thank you. Great. That would be it. Oh, look, see, so this one is better than Cron Maker. That doesn't give all those examples, or maybe they do and I didn't go down far enough. Nope. Yeah, so see for that instance, that is good. Last weekday of the month, last Sunday, nearest weekday. Great.
Okay, don't leave that page let because mine, I can't get there. Oh, you're on day. Okay, never mind. I see why. Thank you.
You're
Thank
very
you very
welcome.
much.
And then when you scroll down, this is what your expression should look like.
And it does.
Giddy
you.
up. Good deal. Thank you for asking that. Any other questions?